right, good morning. I'm going to try and get through chapter 8 for us today. Saved by a Whisker. In his pea jacket and stocking cap, Jack felt 14 years old at least, maybe 15. He stood in the bow of the whaleboat and watched the long wharf come closer. They bumped against the boat stairs and Jack was the first out. His heart raced with the excitement of the moment. They had arrived and he was ready to start digging. Not so fast, Master Jack, said Praiseworthy. Don't forget your pick and shovel. And don't start digging up the streets, laughed Mountain Jim. Folks might not appreciate it. A hilltop telegraph had signaled the arrival of a side-wheeler, and now it seemed as if all of San Francisco had turned out. The wharf was alive with men, women, and children, not to mention dogs, mules, and chickens. Seagulls flocked in the air like confetti. Weighted down with their belongings, Praiseworthy and Jack started along the wharf. There were barrels and boxes piled everywhere. Peddlers and hawkers and hotel runners mixed through the crowd and shouted at the newcomers. Welcome, boys! Welcome to the fastest-growing city in the world. Flannel shirts for sale. Red flannel shirts, gents. They don't show the dirt. Try the Niantic Hotel, the cleanest beds in town. Horn spoons, you'll need 'em at the diggings, carved from genuine ox horn. Stay at the Parker House, none better. The wharf seemed a mile long and the noisiest place on earth. Jack was dazzled by what he saw, tattooed islanders and East India sailors, and silent Chinese with pigtails dangling behind them like black chains. There were Mexicans moving about to the jingle of their heavy silver spurs, and Chileans in long serapes. There were mule skinners and businessmen, and there were miners in jackboots and red flannel shirts, with the mud of the diggings still in their beards. The city rang to the sound of the hammers. Buildings were going up everywhere, and a sand dredger was pounding the air. Men stood in the doorways of the shops, ringing handbells. Auction! Auction going on here! There you go. Fresh eggs just arrived from Panama. Step inside, gents. Cheroots and chewing tobacco. Onions at auction. 50 bushels just come in from the Sandwich Islands. Also, calomel pills, castor oil, and carpet tacks. Jack gazed about at the streets of wonders. There was a smell of mutton from the chop houses and a sizzle of hot grease from the oyster shops. Suddenly, Mountain Jim stopped short. Billy be hanged, he said, lifting his nose in the air. Smell that? Praiseworthy nodded. It's strong enough to knock a man down. Makes your mouth water, don't it? Not exactly, said Jack, trying not to breathe. It's bear meat, real California home cooking. Good luck in the diggings, boys. I'm going to follow my nose. Following up the scent like a bloodhound, Mountain Jim crossed the street and turned into a restaurant. Before long, Mr. Ozira Jones dropped away, unable to resist the lure of the auction shops. Another moment. Praiseworthy and Jack continued along the boardwalk, which was hammered together mostly out of barrel staves, and reached the United States Hotel. Captain Swain had recommended it. A fine room, if you please, Praiseworthy said to the hotel clerk, and I think a tub bath would be in order. Very good, sir, replied the clerk. He was a bald-headed man with thin strands of hair combed sideways from ear to ear. That'll be $10 extra each. What's that? Praiseworthy scowled. We don't want to bathe in champagne. Water will do, sir. See my kitty cat? Champagne be almost cheaper, gents. Water's $1 a bucket, unless you want to wait until next November. Prices come down when it rains. We'll wait, said Praiseworthy with decision. In this part of the world, he thought a man had to strike it rich just to keep his neck clean. He signed the register, and Jack gazed at a bearded miner pacing back and forth across the lobby floor. He wore a floppy hat, and chestnut hair tumbled out on all sides like mattress stuffing coming loose. He kept glancing at the loud wall clock, as if every advancing second might be his last. Jack couldn't take his eyes off the man. Tucked inside his wide leather belt were a revolver, a horn spoon, and a soft buckskin bag. Gold dust, Jack thought. He must have just gotten in from the mines. Ruination, the miner began to mutter. Ruination. Praiseworthy blotted the register. How, he asked the clerk, does one get to the mines? Riverboat leaves every afternoon at 4 o'clock from the Long Wharf. Fare to Sacramento City is $25. From there you make your way to the diggings, by stage, muleback, or foot. Jack shot a glance at Praiseworthy. $25 each? Why, they didn't have that much money. But the butler didn't so much as raise an eyebrow. "We'll be taking the boat tomorrow," he told the clerk. "Ruination!" said the miner. "Come along, Master Jack," said Praiseworthy. The walls of their room were lined with blood-red calico, and there was a china matting on the plank floor. The window looked out on the shipping in the bay, the masts as thick as a pine forest. There were not only gold ships, but Navy frigates and Chinese junks, and the goings and comings of longboats. But Jack wasn't interested in the view. $50 just to get to Sacramento City, he said. "We'll have to walk." Good exercise, no doubt, but we haven't time for it. Praiseworthy gazed out at the distant hills across the bay. Sacramento City was more than 100 miles upriver. He had heard in the diggings in the foothills beyond that. "Let me see. It took us 5 months to get this far, and it will take us another 5 months to get home. If we are to keep Aunt Arabella from being sold out, we have 2 months left. 2 months to fill our pockets with nuggets." Jack found himself pacing back and forth like a miner in the lobby. "Ruination," Jack said. "We've come all this way, and now we're no closer." "Nonsense," said Praiseworthy. There was a pitcher half full with water on the chest, and he poured a small amount into the washpan. "We'll be on tomorrow's riverboat, I promise you. Now then, I suggest we wash up as best we can, Master Jack." Wash, Jack thought. There wasn't time to wash. How will we pay the fare? Let me see. We have $38 left. That's a start, isn't it? Of course, we'll have our room and meals to pay, but if I detect one thing in the air, it's opportunity. The sooner you wash, Master Jack, the sooner we can tend to our financial dilemma. Your Aunt Arabella wouldn't allow you abroad on these streets with dirty ears and sea salt in your eyebrows. And don't forget the soap." "Ruination," Jack muttered again. He might as well be home in Boston. They washed and changed into fresh clothes, and Praiseworthy gathered up their white linen shirts. They needed a good starching and ironing. Praiseworthy had noticed a laundry sign a few doors from the hotel. It wouldn't do, he told himself, to see Master Jack turn into a ragamuffin. No, indeed, Miss Arabella would never forgive me. When they returned to the lobby, the shaggy miner was still there, pacing and muttering in his dusty beard. He glanced at Jack, a dark, sudden glance, and then the butler, and the boy went out on the street. But as they ambled along the boardwalk, Jack began to realize that the miner was following them. Or so it seemed, for a moment. Praiseworthy turned into the laundry. A mere wooden framework tacked with canvas set the bundle of shirts on the counter. "How soon may we have these back, sir?" asked the butler. "Very fast service," answered the laundryman. His pigtails bobbed as he bowed. "How fast?" 3 months, unless there's a typhoon." 3 months? Typhoon? The man was mad, Praiseworthy thought. Or perhaps it was the entire city. "We fully intend to leave by the 4 o'clock riverboat tomorrow." "Not possible," said the Chinese man, bowing and slipping his hands into his flowering sleeves. "We send the laundry to China. It's going to come back in 3 to 4 months, all washed and starched and ironed, unless there's a typhoon. It will take longer. No one to do the laundry here. Everything is sky high. Cheaper to send it to China." Praiseworthy picked up the bundle of shirts and gave Jack a look of modest defeat. "Since we've managed without baths, I dare say we can do without starched shirts. Come along." They had hardly gone half a block when Jack saw that the miner in the floppy hat once again behind them. The black pistol in his belt suddenly looked larger, but Jack said nothing. The miner could want nothing with them. Nothing at all. He was still at their heels when the butler and the boy crossed the street. Now Jack was beginning to feel anxious, even a little scared. Finally he looked up at Praiseworthy. "He's following us." "Who's following us?" asked the butler. "The miner from the hotel." "Stuff and nonsense. The streets are free to everyone. But he's following us, Praiseworthy." "Nothing to fear in broad daylight, Master Jack." They continued along the sandy plaza, still looking for opportunity, and the miner marched right behind them. "Must be another madman," said Praiseworthy, turning. He stopped, and the miner stopped, and they stood face to face. "Sir," said the butler, "are you following us?" "Ruination, I sure am." All right, I got to stop there because my time's going to run out. We'll have to pick up tomorrow. Have a good day.